I'm Mike Wilson, this is my 24 and it's on campaign fishing. So as I mentioned, my 24 is on campaign fishing. I've come to my syndicate water in Essex. It's a lake I've been fishing now for just over 2 years, and I'm now going into my 3rd season. The lake's been shut as well for sort of 6 to 7 weeks because of the close season and spawning, so I'm absolutely buzzing to get back. I thought I'd bring the cameras with me, and as the name suggests, I've got 24 hours to try and make it happen. Now, campaign fishing is something that takes up 80% of my time. It's something I always love to do. I join a lake, set myself a target or maybe targets, and I do not leave that lake until I achieve those. The time is just gone 10:15. Without further ado, I'm going to get on my toes and try and locate some carp. I think I tend to fish syndicates because I love to set myself a goal, and I see a syndicate or new water as a new mission, and when you set out yourself targets and you complete that mission, there's no better feeling than catching the one you're after or catching the fish that you're after. So I've just walked into one of the swims up the first end. There was a little ripple in the water. The ripple's just sort of flattened off, and there is a lot of carp out here, all just under the surface, really looking like they're up for a floater. So without further ado, I'm running straight back to the van, grabbing some mixers, my floater rod and a net, and I'm having a go for them in here for sure, because there's definitely an opportunity. I'm going to the van. The floater rod's always in the van from early April all the way through to end of September, early October, depending on the weather. And it's such an edge to have that in your armoury. So many people still look past the fact of floater fishing these days, and they just can't be bothered, or they go floater fishing for the day, so they'll put their floater gear in their car and they're only going to do that style of fishing for the day. They'll get home, they'll take it out, 2 nights later they'll go again for an overnight and they won't take the floater gear. I've had so many of my best captures by opportunist fishing, by turning up to do an overnighter, walking around the lake, seeing a few fish milling about, quickly running back to the van, few pouches of mixers, float rod, bang, there's a fish in the net within 10-15 minutes sometimes. So I've given it just over 2 hours now, trying for them on the floaters. I had a couple take in and I did have a missed opportunity as well, unfortunately, but the geese are just an absolute nightmare. I must have fed them about 8-9 kilos of mixers and they're still coming back for more. So it's really hot now. It's actually the hottest day of the year so far, I think. Today's planned to be 28 degrees, I think. And yeah, it's midday and you can really feel the heat now. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to the van, I'm gonna grab some food, I'm gonna refuel, I'm gonna get my gear, get my bivvy, set up in this swim, because where I've been floater fishing down that end of the lake, it has also pushed a lot more fish up here, and the wind's turned as well, so a few more fish have come up, and there's quite a few in front of me now. So a couple of spots that I've known on the bottom, they're shallow, so I'm gonna get rods out on the deck there, put a bit of bait in, and then the other rod I'm gonna fish on a zig. So for now, head to the van, 22 hours to go, let's get one. Got a little notebook. I keep all my wraps jotted down in there. As well as that, in the notes section on my phone, I've got pictures of all the horizon markers in each swim. So the majority of swims on here, I can just rock up and get 3 rods fishing on hard spots in a matter of minutes. So I decided to stay put in that swim, go and get the rest of my gear and put a zig out at the edge of the weed bed where I'd seen them feeding. I would have loved to fish 3 rods and zigs, but unfortunately, rules here, you're only allowed 1. And it didn't actually take long, in fact. I think I just put out the second bottom bait rod, which is my 3rd rod, and the zig was away. Just when I started to get a little bit down in the dumps because it hadn't happened on the top, I said, just done a piece of camera putting a zig out, and no more than 10 minutes later, it's gone. 8-foot zig, this is gonna be fun. Absolutely buzzing, weeded me up at first. Managed to get it out after sort of 5-10 minutes and it was in the net. First one was in the bag and a lovely upper double common, real fat plump one. Well, how about that? A lovely start to my 24. I'm not gonna lie, I was getting really frustrated. fishing on the surface. The carp weren't really playing ball, the geese wouldn't leave me alone, so I decided to drop into the swim next door, put a rod out on a zig just to the right of the weed bed that I was fishing, and it didn't take long and this fella's rattled off. I don't know, lovely upper double common, real chunky one, on the zig screws as well, bit of red foam, and lovely job. 4 hours in, 20 hours to go, and now I'm really feeling confident of a few more. Let's see what happens.
I think there's always that doubt sometimes that can go through your head and you just think, will it happen? Will it ever happen? But I've never given up on a campaign since I've started fishing, and I'm not prepared to now. So I've worked really hard. This is the longest I've actually ever done a campaign now. The longest I'd ever done before this was 2 years. I'm now going into my third season, so it'll be 3 seasons this one. It's my longest one yet. Probably the most enjoyable though. It's had its ups, it's had its downs, it's frustrating at times, but it's also the absolute nuts at times. But there is that doubt sometimes that does run through your head maybe, will I catch it? But I think you've just got to get that out straight away, get it in one ear, out the other, and just positive thoughts. I will catch it. It's just, I'm just playing a numbers game at the moment, I really am. Whether that's the best way, I don't know, but I think eventually it'll happen. It'll happen.
Mid-afternoon, sort of heat of the day, and I'm taking an hour to just sort of chill out. Rods are in position. Put that one back out on the zig where I caught the fish from early, just up against that weed bed, and then the other 2 are on spots. Haven't actually baited them spots yet. I was going to leave that to this evening. As I mentioned earlier, there's quite a lot of bird life around, geese, coots and things like that. So to ensure they're absolutely prime for tonight, I'll get the bait in later on this evening. But I'm going to have a go on the floaters again, I think, as well. I was close earlier, sort of pulled out of one. They was up for a little munch, but then, as I said, the geese absolutely destroyed it. So hopefully they might be up the other end later on and I can have a go on the floaters then. So that's how the day's panned out so far. I'll probably redo the rods again this evening, get some bait in, as I said. And yeah, hopefully it won't be too long before one rattles off.
So later on that afternoon, it'd probably been a couple of hours since I had the zig bite, and it was looking a little bit quiet. There's a few fish up my end, and the wind turned, went easterly, started blowing up towards where I was, and it definitely started to bring a few fish with it. Started noticing a few backs breaking the water and things like that. And then I was talking to Andy, one of the bailiffs. He's come round. We're just sitting there having a chat, and it couldn't have been any more than 10, 15 yards out. A group of 4 or 5 fish have just come through. So I quickly grabbed me floaters, put 2 pouches of mixers out, and straight away they were taking them. So I wasted no time, got straight in the waders, out into the water, past my lines, cast a bulk machine at them with a floater hook bait, and it didn't take long at all. One was straight in the bag. Again, absolutely made up, lovely 20-pounder, and it was worth it. A little bit of opportunist fishing resulted in a fish in the net.
He's a nice one, man. He's a lovely, lovely carp. Oh, made up, absolutely made up. Buzzing. What's that? What's the time? Time check, 5:20.
So I've got one in the bag, but while I carried on putting out the floaters, I said to the lads, these are going to drift beautifully over the top of my zig. And lo and behold, 10 minutes later, the zig rod was away and we was into our 3rd fish of the session.
That's part my zig. I literally just said to you, by feeding the mixers long and letting the wind drift them down, I've got sort of double chance, one on a floater and one on a zig. And just as it looked like it was all over on the floaters, the zig's just absolutely busted off. Oh, it's a banging line. And if this is the one we think it is, it's an absolute cracker. will almost certainly do. During a quiet spell in the afternoon where it looked like nothing was happening, a few fish just come cruising past, a couple of pouches of mixers, shortly followed with one in the net. Slip this one back, get the other one out, and then get them rods out, because I've got no rods in the water at the moment. The second one, 2 quick bites, this one on a zig, massive eruption on the surface, but I've actually caught this fella before on a zig as well, funnily enough, back in August time I think it was, and he put up an account for himself then, and he certainly did today, but he's more than welcome.
If I'm fishing out for a £40 common, which I'm doing now, I know there's a lot of fish in front of that I'm probably going to have to wade through, have been wading through, but I guess that's sort of part of the puzzle, if you like. I'm putting the pieces together along the way, I'm catching them nice fish along the way, and that's the buzz as well. You catch fish along the way that you've seen photos of when flicking through previous anglers that have fished here and things like that, and that's just as much of a buzz to get one in the bottom of the landing net, look in the bottom, look at your phone and be like, oh, it's that one, I remember seeing that one from maybe 6 years ago and something like that. And if you see one you don't recognise, then sending it to one of the bailiffs or someone that you know's caught a lot of fish, and just sort of, yeah, getting the history of the carp that are in the lake, and that's also as much of a buzz for me, catching them ones along the way.
Well, today's absolutely flown by. I cannot believe I've just sat down and it's 20 past 8. 10 hours into the session now, 14 remain. But to be fair, I really am confident in the night ahead. There's a lot of fish out in front of me. The wind swung easterly today. It's been pushing up this end of the lake all afternoon, and it's brought quite a few fish with it. I've been sat here now and I've probably seen 5 or 6 roll in the last 10 minutes. Got rods on 2 spots, one up this end of the lake and one just to the right, and then I've got a zig between them as well, just at the right hand side of the weed bed where I had them couple of bites earlier. I did give them quite a bit of bait tonight as well, to be fair. They started to really hammer the mixers this afternoon, so it sort of tells me they may be up for a bit of a munch. I probably put, I don't know, 10, 12 mini dot spods over each rod. Nice bit of grub down on the deck tonight.
The one thing everyone has in common when joining a syndicate water and starting a campaign is they're all there to catch the big one. And at the end of the day, everyone's got to put a bait on a hook in order to catch the big one. So by establishing your bait within that lake is going to be a real edge for you in the long run, if you like, by getting the fish feeding, confident in your bait, get them used to it, and using it as a natural food source is essential. I've been using the squid for 2 years now since I've been on here, and they absolutely love it. And there's nothing better than when you catch a carp and see it passing on your bait. Things then really did dry up for the afternoon with no more bites, so I decided to bring all my rods in, put fresh rigs on, get them back out on the spots, a little bit of bait, and get prepared for the night. And then it wasn't till, I don't know, we didn't sit down till 9 o'clock, something like that. Dan popped out to get us a takeaway, and me and Barn were just sat there chilling, having a cup of tea. And again, I just noticed a few backs and fins breaking the surface, and I said to Barney, they're up for a floater here. We both sort of looked at each other, we was both absolutely knackered. I couldn't really be bothered because we'd had such a long day, it'd been exhaustingly hot. Barn was knackered, been running around with a camera all day, but it was just something in my head was like, that's so wrong. Like you have to fish for them, you have to do it. So I grabbed the spod rod, a few dot spods of mixers out long, and straight away, bang, they was up taking floaters. By the time Dan got back with a takeaway, there was another one in the bag just on dark. Me and Barn just sort of sat back, went to chill out, put the kettle on. I just noticed a few fish drifting around and I just couldn't help myself. I had to get some mixers out. And yeah, missed opportunity, and then finally got one. But he's well weeded at the moment, but hopefully steady pressure. There's a lot of eelgrass out there, they should just pull through it. could not help myself. Dan popped down to the little village to grab a Chinese, and while he was gone, me and Barney sat back, chilled out, put the kettle on, then I see a few fish just cruising under the surface. I just had to have a go. It's weeded me up for about the last 20-25 minutes. With steady pressure, a few different line angles, we've got him free. Now, what a way to end off the day. It's 10 to 10, so still got plenty of time yet to get a couple more. I really hope them bottom rods are going to do a bite tonight. What a day. Should we have some dinner, boys?
I think so.
The night then passed and it was surprisingly very quiet. I really did expect to get a few bites during the night as the rigs were on the spots, there was a nice bed of bait out. But I woke up early, sort of, I don't know, 5:45-ish, something like that. I can't have been out of the bed chair for more than 5 minutes, just put the stove on to make the lads a coffee, and bang, the right hand rod was away. There we go, a little scamp this morning, taken on one of the bottom rods. Absolutely made up now, so there's fish on zigs, floaters and off the bottom. Just on bite time as well, just gone 6:15, so it gives me 3.5 hours remaining to get one of the real good ones. So I'm going to get this one back, rework the zigs, get the rod back out on the bottom, see if we can make it happen. As I slipped the common back, I looked out to the spot and noticed it was still fizzing, so I wasted no time getting a fresh rig on and getting it back out. Like always, I like to leave the rod on the rest with no bobbing on, just to let the line settle for 10 or 15 minutes, and I was sat on my bed chair, tying a new zig, and it was away again. And lo and behold, the last one of the session was in the bag. Beautiful mid-20 mirror. Good boy!
Nice 20-pounder in, mid-20.
So I've literally just had one, I don't know, mid-20 mirror. Just redoing my zig that I was about to put out, and they've just started spawning, completely out of nowhere. 2 or 3 fish, just out in the middle there. Get the rods in. Session over. What a shame. What a shame. For me, it's just the buzz of, setting out a target, fishing that water solidly, learning the lake, learning that fish's behaviour, learning its previous captures, and trying to put the pieces together to get the end result of that one in the bottom of your landing net. What a way to end. Unfortunately, my session's been cut short due to the fish spawning, but I'm not fussed. 6 fish in total, with this one being the last and the biggest at just over £25. I'm absolutely made up. I've had an absolute blast, and I hope you guys have enjoyed watching this as much as we've enjoyed making it. I can't wait to get back down and let the campaign continue.